Harry, can you explain to me and to others who are listening what the miHealth device is and how it relates to Provision, as well as what Provision is and what it does?
Oh, absolutely. miHealth and Provision are really a totally unique system of healthcare because the both of them together allow you to accurately assess and correct what's happening in the body based on the body's information and energy. And it includes a simple to use handheld device, which is the miHealth, which has built-in treatment functions that you can deliver immediately to patients for quick pain reduction, as well as over time for resolving a variety of health conditions. And what this all means is that you can now more easily provide your clients instant relief of physical or emotional pain, as well as accurately detect the root causes of their health problems. And it also offers a really clear path for lasting corrections of chronic or acute situations.
So in that situation, could you explain a little bit more about how the device works? What is it actually doing when you treat someone?
Sure. To use the miHealth, you simply put your client's hand on the device, and then it works out how the information and energy are flowing in your body, and then it tells you where to treat. And once selected, you can then deliver the treatment function in either on-body mode or in broadcast mode. And currently, really, the miHealth is the only device in existence that can operate both on-body and off-body, and that gives you added versatility in treatment options, such as in addressing deeper chronic issues where a deeper on-body correction might be called for, as opposed to those who are more sensitive when broadcast mode is required. Now, the device is based on the concept of pulsed electromagnetic fields, and it really uses three technologies to stimulate the body, and those are bioelectric stimulation, which both raise the cell's electrical potential and remind the body that there's a problem in a particular area, which then again stimulates your body's own self-healing ability. And the second is global scaling frequencies. Now, these are based on the natural oscillations of the human body that aid specific cells and parts of the body to go back to their healthy state. And then the third one is informational healthcare. That's just like having music on a radio wave, where we add specific information from our work of mapping the information of the human body field, which informs the body on how best to repair itself.
So if, in that situation, then you would be using the device, you would measure the person's response related to those things, and you're measuring elements of those three things that you just discussed, the bioelectric stimulation, or are you're measuring something else that you're going to be treating? And I'm assuming you're using the Provision software to gather the information about that body field, so the device is somehow connected to the software. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. I mean, the miHealth is separate to Provision, and the miHealth you can use to take direct electrical measurements on the body without having the Provision software. So if you want to know what's going on locally, you can literally just measure directly over the skin, and it'll tell you the relative based on the natural oscillations of the human body that aid specific cells and parts of the body to go back to their healthy state. And then the third one is informational healthcare. That's just like having music on a radio wave, where we add specific information from our work of mapping the information of the human body field, which informs the body on how best to repair itself.
So if, in that situation, then you would be using the device, you would measure the person's response related to those things, and you're measuring elements of those three things that you just discussed, the bioelectric stimulation, or are you're measuring something else that you're going to be treating? And I'm assuming you're using the Provision software to gather the information about that body field, so the device is somehow connected to the software. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. I mean, the miHealth is separate to Provision, and the miHealth you can use to take direct electrical measurements on the body without having the Provision software. So if you want to know what's going on locally, you can literally just measure directly over the skin, and it'll tell you the relative place where it's best to treat. But if you want to see your whole body all at once in sort of one whole go without taking it all over different parts of the body, then it's best that you pair it up with Provision. And when it's paired with that diagnostic software, you can then use your miHealth device to scan your client's total body field, and they get a really accurate and in-depth view of the information and energy of the body, which includes a readout of your client's current physical and emotional states. So if you like Provision, it also tells you which distortions to address first and in which sequence. For example, we had a great naturopathic physician became a miHealth practitioner. One of his elderly patients, Randolph, was suffering really debilitating fatigue and he could barely function. As it turned out, he'd been hospitalised with pneumonia just 6 months before. Now, after his regular healthcare providers could give him no answers or a path for recovery, he turned to Jason. In the Provision scan, it revealed that Randolph's source energy was basically severely depleted, meaning that the life energy that fuels the entire body, i.e. the driver of all the drivers in the body, was running on close to empty. And after a month of taking source driver, in other words, our source driver pharmaceutical, Randolph's source energy showed on the subsequent scan to be fully corrected. And in his own words, he said he felt like a 30-year-old again, and that really still puts a smile on my face.
So in this particular situation, that sounds like a fantastic result. You described something that he was taking for a month. So that was a liquid infoceutical, so of something that was tailored to his treatment, but he took it in a liquid form. Explain to everybody how that's different from digital infoceuticals that we're obtaining through the use of the miHealth device.
Absolutely. I mean, there's many ways of imparting information to the body to stimulate a healing response, and really the best way is through the miHealth, because we can both combine the information with the correct global scaling frequency, and we can target it to a local area, so we get a really optimal response. But over the last 200 years, where since Hahnemann invented homeopathy, there's also been other ways of getting information into the body where you can literally imprint information into a substance. And in homeopathy, they used to do it in a sugar pill, and what we're doing it is in colloidal minerals. But it's also a really effective way, and sometimes perhaps a bit of a gentler way of seeing results for clients.
And I could understand that, in the context where someone didn't have the ability to come in and get treatment every day, or did not have a miHealth device in their personal possession, that would be about the only way that you could really deliver that kind of information to them, was to use it on a daily basis. Have you done research related to using Provision? Or, I mean, have you compared it to other technologies, or have you done things to validate its utility in the past?
Absolutely, we've done lots of research, and I'll just give you an example. And we conducted a trial that compared three technologies, and one was GDV, which stands for gas discharge visualization, the PIP, which is polycontrast interference photography, and also EIS, which is electroinstittal scan. And this was quite a large study where we carried it out on 240 participants who had a really diverse range of health complaints. And the NES Provision, it showed a really strong correlation to all of those other diagnostic devices, and also the subjects showed a significant improvement in their health after just a 30-day infoceutical protocol in all areas of health, and that was sort of gastrointestinal and emotional and structural and respiratory. And to see all the details, if you go to the research section on our site, you can download that full study and find out more there.
Would people find the Provision approach easier than those other types of technologies? Are they in general similar to them, or are they're going to get similar information? Obviously, it sounds like there were some fantastic outcomes related to use of the treatment that was identified. But would you say that Provision offers something else in terms of its ease of use to a practitioner?
Absolutely. The NES Provision is pretty different to those other technologies, in that what we've done is just look at how the body should be when it's working perfectly, and we've based all that on Peter Fraser's incredible map of the human body field. Whereas a lot of these other technologies, like the GDV or the PIP, they're more involved in sort of aura type readings or other electrical type readings, and they're mostly looking at other disease states in the body, rather than what we're doing, which is really the absolute opposite. We're saying, well, this is how you look, this is how you should be when you're operating absolutely perfectly, and then we're basically looking at the differences between that optimal state of the information and energy flow in your body and how you are today. But more importantly, it also gives you a roadmap of how you take yourself from where you are today to going back to that optimal state.
Excellent. So now, in that context, obviously, miHealth it's a standalone device, but it can also be used with the Provision. I encountered the device initially as a standalone device and found some amazing results treating pain problems that were refractory to other kinds of treatments that I use. I'm wondering, what kind of research did you do before it was launched? What led to how the things that are on the actual device at this time? What led to the decision about what was offered in terms of the device?
Yeah, and because of our last 10 years of having lots of practitioners using provision and infoceuticals, we were really lucky to get a lot of volunteers to basically do a large outcomes study, and 127 people volunteered to do that study, and that gave us data for about 360 clients. And it was pretty incredible. And 88% of those clients responded favorably to the miHealth treatment, with the most dramatic responses being seen in pain and joint issues. But we also had a very comparable response whether or not the miHealth was used on or off body, which actually surprised me because I made it originally for on body, but we thought off body would work, and it absolutely did. And that led us to develop further broadcast protocols that have now been proven to be extremely effective, and since obviously getting all those trials back, we've released the technology to the world.
Excellent. And in that context, did you find certain things that were just standout results related to specific kinds of conditions that it just seemed that you could almost guarantee that it would work in a situation? Are there certain types of pain problems or other specific things that the early research showed it would be beneficial to use miHealth?
One of the early studies that we did last year was actually with fibromyalgia, and we're really lucky to have this research team of medical doctors and physiologists out in Cuba that have been researching the efficacy of all our NES products and the miHealth on a great range of chronic conditions. They had such great response with a subset of the patient group having fibromyalgia that we decided to run a separate experiment using a miHealth protocol with this group. And the response to the miHealth was really quite amazing. And some of the ladies on this study had been in the system for years with no treatment or hope for cure for their illness, using a specific protocol in combination with one of our supplement range, which is Flamise, which we're now seeing great results with. I think it was with 21 out of the 28 subjects having absolutely no pain on all their major trigger points that basically used to define their illness after just a 3-month trial. And this is after years of them having pain on all those trigger points.
I'm assuming that that's one of the NES products, a nutritional product. Could you explain that a little bit more?
Absolutely. And the reason we started this study in Cuba is because we wanted to know how much additional effect imprinting a nutritional supplement had over just using the original herbal ingredients. And in the particular case of Inflamise, we used a combination of various herbal ingredients that basically help reduce inflammation in the body. And what we found from that study is that by imprinting it, it actually increased the effectiveness of that particular product by 20%. And then when the miHealth came out, we actually extended that study, and that's why we're looking at this particular subset of fibromyalgia, so we could see the results on what happened when we gave them Flamise. And then when we introduced the miHealth, it went even further, that we've ended up with 21 out of 28 patients who had pain for years and now have no pain at all. So it was fairly incredible after just 3 months.
Yes, as you know, as I mentioned previously to you, we have studied people, and obviously we're doing observational data and just starting to do some sham treatments on people with painful neuropathies. And the data on the preliminary trials were just so amazing that it was hard not to just offer it to anyone who came in with that problem. And likely we will be trying to do a full IRB-approved study related to whether sham treatment compares to using just the device itself. I personally have not yet used nutritionals, partially because I'm so in love with the device. I can't imagine that it won't do everything. In some ways, it seems to be so incredible for treating pain. The data that we're gathering right now is to actually ask that very question: is how often does someone have to be treated? Transitioning to being able to have someone have a device at home so that they can treat appropriately. And obviously, there are the differences between treating a condition specific to the things that the miHealth device can do for physical pain and things like that. You can treat pain so easily. But then for more chronic conditions, it's asking the question, how do you optimize maintaining that improvement that you get when you have conditions like neuropathies that are chronic? And we've had some amazing responses, and just starting to see how well applying that health, the body field information about the healthful use, using the ProVision direction and using the miHealth device to deliver that information, how much that adds to sustaining the results from physical treatments that may have been temporary in those situations. So we're gathering observational data about that right now, and I'm hoping that it will turn out to be useful to you and to others who are going to be able to use this incredible technology. So Harry, could you explain to me a little bit about the scanning function of the miHealth device as a standalone device? I understand that it can scan certain things in the body. You can actually measure things while you're using the device. Could you explain that as opposed to scanning someone where you're going to scan it into the ProVision system? So you're using it to actually scan the body in the place of the hand cradle, but there's another role of scanning with the device. Could you explain that in a little bit more detail for me?
Absolutely. I mean, what you can do with the miHealth is also measure the energy directly in the body. And what I mean by that, if you actually put the device on someone's skin and then you drag it down over someone's skin, the body has this really curious magnetic quality. And wherever there's a problem underneath the skin, i.e. whether it's in an organ or a muscle or a joint, the device becomes extremely sticky, and the skin becomes extremely magnetic, almost to the point you can't actually drag these completely shiny metal plates over the body. And there's two ways of measuring that. You can measure it sort of manually just through feeling that stickiness, but you can also just place the device on different areas of the body, and a reading will come up on the miHealth, and it will tell you what the rate of change of your body's skin resistance is in that particular area. Or another way of putting it, it'll tell you how magnetic it is in that particular part of the body. And what you're looking for is those extremely magnetic areas or extremely sticky areas. And when you find them, by basically putting energy back into the body, or we're using those global scaling frequencies and the information on top back through the signal, and we basically apply that till we're able to raise the body's electrical potential in that particular area, and that magnetic quality starts to diffuse, and it starts to not become sticky, so you can go more smoothly over it. And when you do that, basically your body's own healing mechanism, it really starts to kick in, and it starts to put all of its resources into healing that particular part of the body.
Thank you. I know from using the device that when you realize that the stickiness is resolving, that you've probably maximized the treatment that you're going to do on that person's body. And so there are some fascinating things that come out of using the device that way. The other aspect of measuring is you are going to define where it would be best to treat someone, including, I think, if you were going to do off-body treatment related to that condition. Would you agree with that statement, that when you are treating someone and you're over an area that might have that resistance, that seems like stickiness, that you're going to get some result from treating on body, but you might also get that same response treating off body over that general area? Or is that a misunderstanding on my part?
Absolutely. The device has these two really distinct modes, and what one is on body, and what we mean by that is where the electrodes are actually touching the skin, and the electrical signals sort of traveling quite deep into the tissue. And then the second mode is off body. Now, when it's off body, that sounds a bit woo woo, but what we're really talking about is a pulsed electromagnetic field. And just because the device is not actually connected to the body, it doesn't mean that the energy of the device is not interacting with the body. And just by pulsing a magnetic field at particular frequencies with particular sets of information on those frequencies, it also has a very dramatic effect, and that's especially useful when people are sensitive to the electrical signal, and it's also extremely easy and comfortable for people to do, just to have the device near them with the electrodes turned off. So yeah, both methods are pretty good.
So in general, so I understand this completely because I think I do, but you would have the pulsed electromagnetic field signal being transmitted whether you were on the body or off the body, so that you're getting that information. But when it's on the body, additionally, there is an electrical stimulation that is based on global scaling. So in effect, it's kind of like a bit of a microcurrent signal or some sort of feedback signal, but you would still be receiving the same PEMF signal that you have when you're off body. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I mean, the signal happens anyway, and if we have if we have the electrodes in, it just puts an additional electromagnetic signal straight into your tissue.
Okay, so those electrodes can be used both to measure, so it's almost like a biofeedback, and then emit and provide the signals that would be identified in some extent. You're choosing those modalities on the device, and then assessing if that person has stickiness. Then you're going to treat that area of stickiness either on the body, where you will realize that the stickiness may start to resolve. My own personal experience has been when the stickiness is just starting to resolve, the person will start to tell you that the symptom that you were treating has improved, and sometimes it's very quickly a response that you see. So it's a pretty amazing thing to see, and that is actually when I train other practitioners how to use the device. I will tell them when they're new to the device to just run through some of the physical things that they could use to assess, does someone have stickiness there, and if they do, then use that. And yes, I teach them a certain order of how to do that most effectively, but I think I haven't had anybody not have that experience, that when you're new to the device, being able to assess the stickiness is very useful for how to be, to get the best efficacy from your efforts. And I find that when you treat someone on body, that you get a faster response. It takes a little while longer if you treat off body, even if you've used the stickiness to determine how you would treat that person, which particular modality you would pick, or what particular protocol you would use. But if you treat them off body for a little bit longer, the effect oftentimes, at least in those conditions that I see, the effect lasts longer. So for things that you're going to be treating someone on a repeated basis, you can sometimes extend the duration at that early time when you're first treating someone, extend the duration by transitioning to using mostly off-body treatment if you know what they are going to respond to. And so it's been an amazing adventure to be able to give people the feedback about what they're going to respond to. It makes the treatment for practitioners so much easier when they're starting out. So I think I don't think necessarily that the device was designed to make it easier that way, but it certainly does offer an additional bit of feedback about how to be efficient and effective with your therapy.
Because the device has got biofeedback built into the actual treatment signal, it's constantly monitoring the rate of change of your skin's resistance while you're treating. So the instance that your skin or that part of the body has had enough, the device tells you, so you can then move on to treat another area.